Welcome to the No Guilt Fangirls Podcast, where liking what you like is never a bad thing. Here's your host and head fangirl in charge, Patty Holiday.
Hey y'all, welcome to the No Guilt Fangirls Podcast. I'm your host and head fangirl in charge, Patty Holiday. This is the Monday Movie Minute for February 10, 2020, and we're going to talk Oscars. Award season is so long, and I've been paying attention to most of it, but I'll admit I saved up for the big one last night. There's nothing like the Oscars. I mean, people say it's their Super Bowl of the year or whatever. I'm like, it's the Oscars of the year. It's the Oscars are my Oscars, right? There's just nothing like it. And I don't know. I was entertained from start to finish this year, which was nice. There was a lot of different things that they tried and that they did that I thought worked. So yeah, I had a blast. And I was all over Twitter. So if you're interested in finding out some of the live reaction thoughts as they were occurring, you can go find No Guilt Life on Twitter and check out what happened last night. So if you missed it, here is a few of the winners. Supporting actor, Brad Pitt. Laura Dern. Supporting actress, actor, Joaquin Phoenix. Actress, Renee Zellweger. Original score went to The Joker. Animated feature was Toy Story 4, and that one, I will admit, was a surprise to me. I don't remember if you guys remember this. I didn't love that movie. It was okay, but I thought Klaus was better, and so I was kind of pulling for Klaus, but it didn't win. Toy Story 4 won, so congratulations, Pixar. You guys are awesome as always. Just wouldn't have been my personal choice. Best song was from Elton John from Rocket Man, which I did really like that movie and wish Taron Egerton had gotten a nomination. But they did get the song, so at least Rocket Man won something this year. Best cinematography went to 1917, and I think that was obvious. That was going to be a gimme for anybody that was watching movies this year. That really just, that whole one-shot idea and thing that they pulled off, it worked. It was cool. Well-deserved. The best foreign language film and original screenplay and director, all three of them, went to Bong Joon-ho. Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. And guys, I was tickled. I was so tickled, and more on him in just a little bit. Ford v Ferrari, another movie I really liked this year, also won a couple of awards, and that made me happy. One of them that they won was in, and forgive me, Ford v Ferrari, forgive me. I can't remember if you guys won sound editing or if you won sound mixing. You won one, and 1917 won the other, which completely fit, I felt. But the thing about Ford v Ferrari is that I felt the sound of those engines coming through the screen, and it was so powerful. It was so incredible. So when they won, I really wasn't paying attention to the editing, I'll be honest, to the editing category. But when they won, I was like, oh, yes, makes complete and total sense, because that movie was magnificent from that standpoint. So that made me really happy last night. Little Women won for Best Costuming, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood won for Set Production. And both of these, from the artistic standpoint, from the periods that they were covering, I think were perfect wins for both of these, and just they made a lot of sense. So overall, I don't know, I felt like there were really no major surprises. My major surprise was in the Best Picture category. I wanted Parasite to win, but I didn't think it would happen. So that was exciting. Parasite won, guys. It won. Now, there was one huge surprise, something that kind of came out of what felt like left field. And I think I was so in the moment when it was happening that I was like, what is going on? What am I watching? And why am I watching this? I guess that was more my question, is why? That was when Eminem showed up on stage and he performed Lose Yourself. Okay, so I was completely confused. Now, Lose Yourself is a banger of a song. I absolutely love it. It's on my running playlist. It is my go-to song when I need to be pumped up and finish up the run, or if I'm feeling lagging, or if I just need to even start the run right. Eminem is my go-to. Okay, so it wasn't the song. The song I was all down for, and the performance was great. I was completely there for that too. But I was like, this is like a 2003 song, isn't it? And yeah, it's from a movie, but why are they anyway, I was confused. Well, fear not. Eminem kind of clarified things in a tweet that went out immediately after his performance. And after the segment, he sent out this tweet with footage from the 2003 Oscar ceremony when Lose Yourself won Best Original Song. Now we see the connection. It won Best Original Song without the rapper in attendance. He wasn't there. I don't know if he blew them off. I don't know if he was going through a period of time where he was like, Psh, I don't need these awards. You know, Eminem be Eminem, right? But his tweet said, look, if you had another shot, another opportunity, ... Thanks for having me, Academy. Sorry it took me 18 years to get here. So it was cool. It was cool. And when I looked back and realized what was happening, it was also it did completely make sense. I just wasn't following along, I guess. They brought Lin-Manuel Miranda up on stage, and he introduced a clip package that was basically celebrating pop music in films, which is speaking right to my 80s, 90s girl heart, because almost everything that they showed were movies that I remembered and songs that I grew up with. So things like The Breakfast Club, Don't You Forget About Me. I know, I won't sing. But The Breakfast Club, Rocky, Hustle and Flow, Ghost, Do the Right Thing, Risky Business. All of them have these iconic songs that are attached to them, and they, kind of paired them up with those films. And then at the very end, Eminem came out with the floor to perform his 8 Mile track, right? And he actually came up from the floor. And apparently this was a huge secret. Nobody knew it was on the schedule, but it was redacted. Like, basically they didn't tell anybody he was coming. And the cool part is you can see it in the faces of everybody in the audience. They were just as confused as we were. There are some great memes coming out of this Oscars, and I'll probably put a blog post up on them because I love memes, and I think you do too. Anyway, so that was the big surprise of the night. But as far as winners are concerned, I have to say that if you've kind of been following along with how awards were going and who was getting what, there weren't any huge surprises from that standpoint, except I will say, I will say Parasite winning Best Picture was my shocker. I want to talk about Parasite and Bong Joon-ho. And if you haven't seen any interviews with him, go YouTube all of them. He is adorable, y'all. He's adorable. And he comes across as so sincere and as someone that you'd want to work for, someone that you'd want to support. And his cast and crew were just so proud of him as he collected some of those early awards by himself. And I think that's what struck me, was just the support that they were giving him as well. And this cast is amazing. This whole film really, really stood out to me. I do have a review of it on this podcast if you want to scroll back and find it and listen to it. You might be wondering, why do I want to go see a movie that's all in Korean when I don't speak Korean? And even if it wins all these Oscars, is it really that good? And I will tell you this, I don't want to give you any major plot details because I think this movie is one that's best. And you know me and spoilers, I love spoilers. But I think this one is best when you go in kind of blind with it. However, this movie is that good. It is one of the movies that there was really pretty only much 2 movies that I can think of through the whole 2019 that when I left the theater, I couldn't stop three movies. I couldn't stop thinking about them. And one was Avengers Endgame, which of course, I mean, the Marvel fangirl in me, there was no way that one was going to escape it. And you don't go see a movie like 5 or 6 times in the movie theater without it having some impact on you. So obviously that was the fangirl in me. But the other one was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Surprised the heck out of me. I'm not a Tarantino fan, but that sat with me. I went and saw it a second time. It was even better the second time. It was just that kind of a movie. Parasite is like that. Parasite I thought that I would be bored. I thought that it would not hold my attention, but there's a moment in this movie that kind of changes all of that, and I was on the edge of my seat, my mouth hanging open as I was watching this movie. So it's worth it. It's worth it. If you can, I think you can actually get it on iTunes if you can't get into the movie theater, but it's still out in theaters. So take the time to go and see Parasite, because it is as good as and as cool as everybody's saying it is. I mean, it's an Oscar-winning movie now. Woo! Yeah, of all the movies, this was the one that I wanted to win big, but I just didn't think it would because, I don't know, Oscar's so white, right? And it's in Korean, so Oscars don't love subtitled movies like that. I just didn't think it stood a chance to actually win the Best Picture award, but it did, and it won Best Director as well. It's 100% worth the hype, so go see it, all right? And now we all know and love and have adopted Bong Joon-ho. He kept saying that he was ready to drink after he'd win an award. He was like, "Now I go drink." And then he'd come back up and he was like, "Oh, I thought I was done. I guess I go drink now." And then finally he was like, "I'm going to drink until tomorrow morning." I hope he's still out there just living his best life with all of his Oscars around him, because it was very cool. And I want to read you his Best Director acceptance speech, because it was one of the most touching moments of the entire night, and it got a standing ovation. So he says, "After winning Best International Feature, I thought I was done for the day and I was ready to relax. Thank you so much. When I was young and studying cinema, there was a saying that I carved deep into my heart, which is that the most personal is the most creative." That quote is from our great Martin Scorsese. And then the camera panned to Scorsese, and he was surprised and charmed that, he was being called out in this speech. And it was a nice moment. It was a really nice moment. Actually, the whole room erupted. They started clapping. They stood up and they gave Scorsese a standing ovation, which was I thought was nice. I thought it was nice. Bong went on and he added, "When I was in school, I studied Martin Scorsese's films. Just to be nominated was a huge honor. I never thought I would win." Then he kind of pivots and he looks over at Quentin Tarantino. And he said, "When people in the U.S. were not familiar with my films, Quentin always put my films on his list. He's here. Thank you so much. Quentin, I love you." And then he looks at his other two fellow nominees. And Todd and Sam, great directors that I admire. If the Academy allows, I would like to get a Texas chainsaw, split this award into 5, and share it all with all of you. Thank you. I will drink until next morning. Thank you. Guys, he's so fantastic. Go and find some of his interviews on YouTube. He's adorable. And the fun part is that he gives them in Korean, and then his interpreter, gives the English response. And sometimes he knows some English and he'll speak, but I think he's just more comfortable, speaking in Korean, because he definitely understands English. But he was just a gem, and he was watching him win was a highlight of the night. And it was so good. It was so good. What were your Oscar thoughts? Did anybody not win that you think should have? I would love to hear it. Send me a tweet at No Guilt Life and let me know your thoughts on all of this. And thanks for fangirling with us on the Monday Movie Minute. The Oscars, they're just my favorite, and last night did not disappoint for me. I will be back later on this week. As always, there is going to be a recap of Schitt's Creek Season 6. That's coming when the next episode drops. And then there should be another Fangirl episode out on Thursday. If not, it might not come out till next week. Had some tech issues around here, but I'm working that out, and we'll see what we can do. All right. Again, thanks for fangirling with us, and come back and fangirl again real soon.